Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to the True Talk podcast. I'm back here with Taco.
Hey everyone.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the recent string of lawsuits that have been filed against many people in the industry. Let's get right into it. In the last few days, Diddy has been all over headlines after he was exposed and sued by his ex of 11 years, Cassie Ventura. While Diddy settled the lawsuit within 24 hours of filing it, the damage was already done. Diddy was finally exposed for what he really is, a monster. Now, while most thought the situation with Diddy was over, this wasn't the case at all, as the lawsuit made against Diddy seemed to have started a domino effect, as not only did Diddy get sued by two other people for similar accusations, but many other celebrities and high-profile people have been getting sued ever since. The world is starting to see what these powerful men in Hollywood are truly about. In today's episode, we'll be looking into this new lawsuit made against Diddy, Jamie Foxx, Jimmy Iovine, and a few others, so that we can see exactly what those in Hollywood are truly up to. The first lawsuit we need to look at are the new lawsuits filed against Diddy. After the Cassie situation, a woman by the name of Joy Dickerson filed a lawsuit against Diddy, alleging that Diddy SA'd her all the way back in 1991. She claims this all took place back in 1991 when Diddy was upcoming in the music industry. According to Joy, she was attending Syracuse University when she met Diddy. She was even featured in a music video with Diddy, which was called Straight from the Soul. She can be seen sitting in the car with Diddy in the video. She claims Diddy was interested in her and invited her to eat dinner one day. According to Joy, while she was having dinner, she got up to use the restroom and left her drink unattended, and she believes this is when Diddy allegedly spiked her drink. She stated that after the dinner was over, Diddy told her he didn't want the date to end so soon, asking her to keep him company while he makes his way around the city. Joy accepted the offer and then claims that Diddy took her to a recording studio, but when it was time to get out of the car, she states at that point, she started to fall off as she couldn't even stand up. Joy claims that after the studio, Diddy took her back to a place where he was staying at, and this is when she claims the SA started. According to Joy, she was under the influence and couldn't willfully choose to be with Diddy. Joy said that not only did Diddy SA her, but he also filmed himself while doing it, claiming that Diddy showed the tape to a friend of hers who told her everyone had seen the tape. According to Joy, this very moment marked the downfall of her life as she dealt with PTSD due to the situation and developed depression after it. She claims she tried to press criminal charges on Diddy but was rejected as the authorities claimed they couldn't verify the story. Now, there's two very important things I got from this lawsuit. One is that Diddy's disturbing ways go all the way back to the 90s before he was even the big executive he is today. This proves that these sick, disturbing tendencies have been a part of Diddy's character since before the fame. He is just a sick individual who got in the industry and got even sicker. This also proves to me that this is Diddy's MO. He likes to give women substances, then SA them and film himself while doing it. It didn't change much with Cassie. It only got weirder as Diddy had more money, power, and fame to do whatever he wanted. This is what Diddy does. This is who he secretly is. All the love stuff he is trying to embody now is all a cover-up to try and hide his hate from within him. Diddy was then sued after this incident by another anonymous woman who filed the suit as Jane Doe. This woman claims she met Diddy at an Uptown Records event, stating that Diddy and Aaron Hall were being flirtatious with her and her friend, and then Diddy and Aaron invited the girls back to Hall's apartment where the evil began. Similar to Casey and Joy, this woman claimed that Diddy forced her to be intimate with him while her friend was being intimate with Hall. She stated that when Diddy was done with her, he then allowed Hall to R-word her while Diddy did the same to her friend. This woman claims that after all this happened, Diddy looked for her and put hands on her, threatening her to keep quiet about what happened. This situation, similar to the situation with Joy, happened over 30 years ago, pointing to the fact that this is what Diddy has been all about the entire time. I myself and many others believe this is what Diddy was doing to Kim Porter, but worse. Kim went through the worst of it, and she is the only one who is not here to talk about it. It is strange that it was believed Kim Porter was writing a tell-all book about her life, which would have definitely included secrets about Diddy, but before she can finish this book, she ends up passing away from pneumonia. I find it hard to believe that Diddy had nothing to do with this, but I can assure you he won't get investigated for this. Diddy is protected in the industry, and that's the reason they can't touch him. Diddy wasn't the only one acting like this over at Bad Boys either, as the president of the label, Harve Pierre, is also sued for similar disturbing allegations. Harve is being sued by a woman who claims to be his former assistant over at Bad Boy Records. She claims Harve groomed her, similarly to how Diddy did to Cassie. This woman claims that Harve SA'd her on many occasions and used his position of power to control her. Now, interestingly enough, after the Diddy lawsuit started coming in, so did lawsuits against other celebrities and high-profile people. Jamie Foxx was sued by an unnamed woman claiming that Jamie SA'd her back in 2015 at a restaurant in New York City. She claims that after she met Jamie at the rooftop of the restaurant, Jamie complimented her by saying she had the body of a model. She then claims that Jamie grabbed her by the arm and took her to a secluded area of the rooftop where he began to SA her. While these accusations were truly serious, I found it lacking credible evidence. I'm not saying this didn't happen, as I wasn't there, but with the amount of evidence provided, it doesn't seem like a strong case. It is important to note that this lawsuit was filed previously and it was denied. Now, I did find it suspicious that this lawsuit against Jamie came out right after the lawsuit about Diddy, almost as this was done to get people to stop talking about the Diddy situation and focus on Jamie. Jamie is a big celebrity. Accusations like this were gonna be headline grabbing. Now, do I believe Jamie is incapable of doing this to a woman? No. Jamie was hanging out with Diddy. He participated in those secret Hollywood parties and partied with Diddy in those back rooms. Jamie is not innocent. He took the same oath as Diddy. But I will say timing speaks for itself. This lawsuit might have been made just as a distraction and a cover-up. Those in the media do it all the time, and Diddy was even accused of doing this in regards to his ex-girlfriend Gina, who claimed Diddy made the media make up a fake story of her dating someone else to protect Diddy. Someone else being sued that no one was expecting was the big music executive Jimmy Iovine, the very man behind Interscope Records and rappers like Dr. Dre, Eminem, and many others. Jimmy Iovine, one of the most powerful men in the music industry, is being sued by a woman, again being referred to as Jane Doe, for an incident of SA that happened all the way back in 2007. While the full complaint made by Jane Doe hasn't been released as of yet, this is still rather interesting. Here is one of the biggest names behind the scenes of music being accused of the same things Diddy is known for. This is showing us it's not just Diddy doing it in Hollywood, it's the entire industry. It's full of demonic, disturbing people who take advantage of all they can take advantage of. This is not just happening in hip-hop, as the lead singer from the band Guns N' Roses is also being sued for similar disturbing activities. A former model by the name of Sheila Kennedy, who modeled for Penthouse magazine, accused the rock legend of SA in an incident she claims took place all the way back in 1989. She alleges that Axl invited her and her friend back to a hotel room he was staying at, where he became enraged and SA'd her and her friend. It's not just artists and executives in the music industry being sued for these disturbing crimes, as the new mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, is also being accused of an SA situation that happened in the 90s. Mayor Adams, who was recently initiated into the Freemasons, is being accused by a former employee of the state of New York City of SA. This woman claims Adam did this to her while he was an officer of the law and worked with him. She alleges that Adam used his position of power over her to get what he wanted from her. Mayor Adams denies the allegations, just like the rest of the people being sued. Everyone is claiming it's all just a money grab, but this is nonsense. Those in power are finally being exposed for what they really are: monsters. All of these situations shows us exactly what these Masonic puppets are doing with their power. They are taking advantage of those they see beneath them. I did find it strange that all these lawsuits are happening right now after Diddy. All of the accusations are definitely drowning out Diddy's situation, but it only proves what I have said before. Hollywood is one of the most demonic places on earth. All of these lawsuits coming in right now does raise red flags to me, because the only lawsuit that seemed to be truly detailed and was full of evidence was the one with Cassie. The one that Diddy settled immediately, paid what is rumored to be $50 million to keep quiet. That had tons of evidence, that had tons of proof, that had a lot of details that when you read it, it was hard to deny that Diddy did this. But these new lawsuits seem to lack evidence, and they all seem to be rushed.
I mean, the first thing that came to mind, that all these people are finally being exposed for the things they've been doing behind the scenes. Now we're all getting to see them for who they truly are. We've talked about it, but now we're seeing it. These people are monsters. They do these kind of things. I also feel like the Adult Survivors Act that was passed last year in New York kind of paved the way for this. Now, like you said, we weren't in the room when some of these things happened, if they happened there. Mostly allegations, except for the ones that have tons of evidence. But I feel like there's also going to be a lot of frivolous suits, you know? Some people that are looking for cash grabs or trying to get revenge or whatever it is. But then other ones, like you said, the P. Diddy one, that settled in one day. Obviously, there was tons of evidence, things that Diddy didn't want to come out. So he immediately settled for whatever amount of money with Cassie. So that way people wouldn't get to see a lot of things that would come out in a trial.
But you don't find it suspicious that this act was there for a whole year? They had a whole year to start filing all these lawsuits. But right after Diddy, with this major lawsuit that we saw countless evidence, we had so much proof to look at, it's almost undeniable. after this situation happens, this is when the flood doors open and all these other lawsuits happen just 1 to 2 days before the deadline closes. To me, that seems rather strange, wouldn't you say?
I mean, the Diddy lawsuit, the fact that it settled so fast, I think it encouraged other alleged victims to put their lawsuits in. That way they can kind of ride the coattails on the infamy that case brought up, you know? That could be the reason.
Some of the people being sued, like Jimmy Iovine. Jimmy Iovine is one of the biggest names in the music industry. He's behind legendary artists. And you would imagine that these people are already doing this, but to find someone who come out and speak up against it and actually say that this is what happened, that's always going to be interesting to me, because I believe that these people that are doing it are putting their life on the line. Specifically when we see the Cassie situation. Yeah, Cassie's probably going to get all that money for sure, but how long is she going to be around to enjoy that money, you know?
You're right. And I mean, we know what Diddy's past looks like. It's pretty questionable at best. We talked about the whole Tupac situation, and we all know what Diddy does to people he doesn't want around, or people that could possibly have things to say about him, you know?
Yeah, like he did to Kid Cudi when they alleged that he blew up his car for talking to Cassie, or like they allege he did to Wale, dangled them over a balcony because he was making a song with Cassie and he didn't want him around Cassie. Even the situation with Diddy and Jennifer Lopez and Shine in the club, where it is believed Diddy was the one who discharged his weapon inside of the club and actually injured somebody, but he pinned it all on Shine, who was his artist, and Shine ended up doing 10 years, losing his music career, basically destroying his life for Diddy. And this just shows you, everybody knew it was Diddy. Everybody knew it was Diddy that did it, but they let Shine take the fall for it. They let Shine go to prison for it because the industry's always been behind Diddy. The industry's always been protecting Diddy. And this is what I believe this situation is. These lawsuits are coming after all these people now, and it's drowning out Diddy. Even though Diddy's name is in the list, it's in the amount of people that are being sued. Now it's not just Diddy. Now it's Jamie Foxx. Now is the mayor. Now is Axl. Now is all these people. So it can't just focus our attention on Diddy no more. I believe this is the purpose of this. People like Jimmy Iovine, yes, he's in the music industry, but he's semi-retired. He's not the same man of power he once was when he was the head of Interscope Records. All these lawsuits, specifically the ones that are Jane Doe, those do seem suspicious to me. They seem like somebody just filed a bunch of frivolous lawsuits in order to capitalize off the situation and get the attention off of Diddy.
I know one of the celebrities that I saw had a suit brought up against him, the actor, Cuba Gooding Jr., he actually ended up pleading guilty to a couple allegations from victims that said that he SA'd them in a club. They pled guilty to that and ended up settling. The fact that he admitted guilt, I mean, there must have been evidence in that particular case.
And this is exactly my point. The biggest faces in Hollywood that people are praising, loving, doing anything for are the same ones taking advantage of those same people that are praising them, love them. And every situation we saw, if we look at that Axl case, they're saying that these women were infatuated with him because he's a mega rock star and they were models and they just wanted to hang out and have a good time. He took advantage of that situation, SA'd them, did even worse to them because he had that power. The industry in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s is not the same industry it is today. But don't think that these things don't still happen. These things are still happening to this very day. Hollywood hasn't changed very much. It's still the same thing. It's just now they're hiding it better. Now they're being more secretive and more indirect. They're not just picking up random women. They're looking for specific people. For example, like Diddy did with Cassie. Diddy found Cassie and built her up to be this slave that he can use however he wanted instead of just getting a random girl and doing it to a random girl. He had Cassie manipulated to save all these secrets and do all these things, and he wasn't expecting her to ever get away. And if she did try to get away, I believe Diddy was going to try to take her out. And the reason, I've said this before, the only reason I think Cassie wasn't taken out before all this happened was because she filed the restraining order against Diddy. And if anything would have happened to her, who would be the first person they're going to look at? The person she has a restraining order against. Am I right?
I mean, would they really look at him though? I think they look at him only when he steps out of line. Like he's been stepping out of line now, so now they're all of a sudden looking at him too, you know?
Yeah, I agree. What I mean by looking at him is, I mean the general public. Like when what happened to Kim Porter, everybody started pointing fingers at Diddy, even though they were saying it's pneumonia, because they know that this is something that Diddy was capable of. They know that the only person that would want Kim Porter out of the picture while she was writing this tell-all book, while she was about to expose Diddy for the monster he really is, Kim Porter was the only one doing this. Kim Porter was the one writing this book, trying to expose Diddy, and then she's gone. And Diddy played this part as best he could. He cried. He said he was so sad. He was so devastated. But do you really think he was devastated? He just got rid of the person who was about to expose his secrets to the world and make a lot of money from it. this is what Kim Porter was gonna do. And Jaguar Wright herself admits that Kim Porter told her out of her own mouth that she was making this book. So this book was definitely being made. And I read somewhere that Cassie Ventura was also writing a tell-all book, and she was contacting Diddy, telling Diddy that she wanted $30 million for her not to write the book, and Diddy only offered her $10 million. And that's why the lawsuit ended up being filed, because she didn't believe that her trauma and her pain was worth $10 million.
Absolutely. And put it into perspective how much P. Diddy's worth. And 11 years of that life, how much money he made while they were together. And we don't know the full details, but the amount of trauma that she might have gone through while with him. We've seen he's a violent man. He's done violent things in his past. Evidence in the past will show that he's done violent things, so it makes a strong claim to the allegations. And again, he settled pretty much immediately for the amount that she asked for. I think the fact that it even went to a lawsuit was that maybe he was trying to buy more time to try to silence her, you know?
Do you think this is Hollywood crumbling? Do you think that this is a chink in the armor of Hollywood and we're finally being able to see inside of what's really going on? You know, we investigate to be able to find the truth. We have to look deep and we have to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. But now these things are being made public. So do you think that this is a chink in the armor of Hollywood? Is Hollywood collapsing?
I think we're definitely seeing a chink in the armor, and I think we're also seeing a movement of the chess pieces on the board. I think those that control the game are actually moving some pieces around and bringing in new pieces that they're going to have more control over. So we've seen some celebrities in Hollywood step out of line and say a little too much. So I think those that control everything, those puppet masters, they're now moving the people that stay quiet and putting them in positions of power so they can keep that control that they've had all these years.
And that makes sense because we've been seeing people like Kanye West, who's one of those people that the elite gave all that power to, try to use that power against the elite. And it's the same thing, like I've said 100 times. I believe Diddy also got himself in this position he is now because he tried to use his power against the elite. He tried to stand up to them and probably did something that they didn't like. And that's why Diddy ended up suing them. And then Diddy sued them again for unlawful retaliation, basically implying that everything that's happening to Diddy now is that unlawful retaliation that Ciroc and the company that owns Ciroc is doing against him. So at the end of the day, I feel like this might seem like a chink in the armor. In reality, I think that this is all a well-orchestrated plan to drown out the problems that Diddy had. If we see that Diddy settles with Ciroc in the next few months, we know that Diddy, just like Kanye West, felt back in line, accepted whatever they wanted him to do, accepted his position, and got back in good graces with them. This is possibly the setup for that because as quick as they were trying to destroy Diddy, they now have to build them back up and protect them to keep him in his place if they're going to still use him, you know?
The list of accusations seems to keep growing, though, because like you mentioned, the current mayor of New York, Eric Adams, was accused. There was also an accusation brought up for the former mayor, Andrew Cuomo, where one of his aides alleged that he essayed them in a way as well. It seems as if they're just trying to flood the headlines with all these allegations.
Just think about it. This is what goes on at those private Hollywood parties. This is what goes on in those events and those mansion parties. A lot of people have been put through these things, but they're not going to talk about it because when you're in the industry and you take that oath and you're around all these celebrities, all these people of power, all you want to do is make it to where they are. So if you have to do things that you would never have done before, a lot of people do it. A lot of people, when they're there, they do it. And that's what happens behind the scenes. A lot of people are getting SA'd. A lot of people are getting R-worded, are being taken advantage of. It's not just Diddy who's a monster in the industry. There's many more. Now, I want to know what you guys think about all these lawsuits, but that's it for this video. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for stopping by. I'm going to keep looking into these cases, and I'm most likely going to make a more detailed video on the situation once I find out exactly why all these lawsuits started happening all right now. But again, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace out, everyone. Stay safe.